Biden comes on there. He says, I'm going to order masks in the areas that I can legally do it. And he says, federal buildings.
Washington, D.C.
D.C. Yep.
Actually,
DC.
he can't even do it in D.C. It's got to be the mayor of Washington, D.C.
Federal court. But what he said was federal property.
Military bases.
Yep. He only mentioned 3, but the point was, is if anybody actually stopped for 1.2 seconds, listening to what he said, they would be on this show figuring it out.
Yeah, asking questions about why he said it that way.
I mean, he just said, I don't have jurisdiction. He doesn't yet.
That's what Chris and Chris Lockwood they're doing. Chris Hallett and Kurt Pendergast. Well, Chris is dead now. He just died a couple of weeks ago. Got shot in his house. But that's what they were doing. A girlfriend of mine goes with them regularly, and that was one of the things that they're going to start teaching the legislatures and the Senates and people how to do their job. She was really excited because she's here in Minnesota with me, and that was part of her job. What they're talking about doing is going to teach them how to do their job.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the real thing right there. And that's where I think if we could get the numbers, I think because it's all about getting people to start writing. And if you start writing now, other people have been writing for years. The more people who write, like it's in every single state constitution. Not that you can go and petition the government. I mean, they say that too, because that's what they're selling. But it's in every state constitution that you can go down and instruct your representatives on how to perform their function. And in my opinion, that's the only way we're getting out of this without people blasting off.
Another point is how many people know about this? How many people are the mega rich, 0.001? How many people know about this, 0.001? I'm sure if North Carolina, 5% of the people knew the exact story of that district attorney, there would not be the same situation we have now. They would be there with pitchforks and torches. And the bar association wouldn't be able to hide it. They would have to hang him or lose their standing. So the awareness
there's 10 million people in North Carolina, okay? You don't need 3%. If you got 0.2%, okay?
That's what I'm saying. 3% would be a fatality for them.
Yeah, 2,000 people for every million, 0.2%, and they got 10, so that would be 2,000, that'd be 20,000 people. If you got 20,000 people writing down to the legislature and telling them how to do their job, they're going to do it really, really quickly. You want to know why? Because all of those people could run for the same office.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the legislature would shape up like that. That's why they always want to blame it on the executive branch or the judicial branch. Oh, it's not the legislative branch's job and jurisdiction to write all of the rules for how everybody else in their society act. That's why they wrote a constitution and statutes. Every single state in their statutes has a statute that says something to the effect of it's a crime, it's a felony in almost every state. And the severity of the felony changes, but it's a felony to impersonate a judicial officer. How many times do you think somebody has walked into a courthouse, like a random individual has walked into a courthouse and been caught impersonating a judicial officer? Because I bet
there's a lot of computers, but I don't think they have the computer. No,
I don't think it's ever happened. What they're talking about in those statutes is when the judge quits acting like a judge and starts impersonating his judicial person. Like when Thomas McAvoy Britton just arrested me and Henry. Never wrote out findings of facts or conclusions of law, which he's required to do not only by law, but by state statutes. My arrest order never got returned because they never actually issued it the day they arrested me.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Just because he didn't finish the paperwork, he still acted in that capacity because it influenced your life. He acted in that capacity. If he didn't write it down or not,
he was impersonating a judicial officer because everything he did violated the law. He couldn't be acting as a judicial officer. He had to be impersonating the judicial officer.
Excuse me.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand. Understood now. I'm sorry.
Like nobody's going to be walking in off the street. Not even 150 years ago would somebody be walking in off the street and impersonating a judicial officer, and everybody else at the court's like, oh yeah, we're going to go along with this. They are only talking about the people who are sitting on the bench. Those are the only people who can impersonate a judicial officer.
Well, I mean, what positions would they suspect an individual could portray? I mean, there's the judge, there's the bailiff, there's attorneys and lawyers.
Yeah, but nobody has power.
Well, I believe
the judge has sovereign power inside of that courtroom. Nobody else has sovereign power inside of that courtroom.
Hey, John,
That's why
let me ask you a question. Are you saying that at the point where they stop acting in their judicial capacity, they're impersonating because they're acting rogue of office?
That's right.
That's absolutely
They're acting
correct.
rogue.
That's a classic Title 42 1983 complaint, or should be.
And that's exactly why when everybody says what they're doing is fraud, they're pulling us over on the side of the road, giving us tickets for using our blinker or speeding or whatever. It's all fraud. We're paying taxes. It's fraud. It's not fraud because people are consenting. But when you go in there and you start exercising and performing law, then they have to move into that fraud territory. That's why they start to get really cautious with people who do that.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's one of the biggest things I see in the counterculture that people still haven't gotten yet. It's just all the blame and all this, and I think it's just they're still blinded to understand like how to, what would you call it, JC, like evoke that side of the law?
Well, I would call it perform. I'm not evoking. I mean, you heard me when I went in to court the other week. Did I evoke anything? I said, no, I got a right to a court of law, correct?
Right.
Do I got a right to a court of law or not? And he got pissed. Oh, I'm going to play this. Y'all want
That's
to hear
what we're
this
doing right now.
all right now? Because this
Didn't he say that?
Beautiful. Do what?
What, Stan?
He said, that's what we got right now. That's what we're doing right now.
Oh, no, I'm going to play this. People got to hear it.
Yeah.
They got to hear it. For real.
Yeah, you played this once before.
Oh, no, I haven't played this one for anybody. Well, I mean, I sent it out to some friends.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it?
Yeah.
You just said you didn't have a tag, your
Louder.
expired, and you don't
That was a
have
good
insurance
one.
on your car, so that's not.
Okay.
You want to go to trial?
I have the right to due process of law, correct?
You have a right to a trial. You have a right to a bench trial, a jury trial, right to an attorney and both opinions.
Do I not have the right to due process of law?
That's what we're doing. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to argue with that. And there's a contempt charge too.
I'm not arguing, I'm just asking if I have the right.
Due process is where you're at today.
Okay, I wish to move to person up, there's no one prosecuting.
The officer is unavailable to be here. He is working an accident, was called to a scene, whatever it was. He called about an hour ago, so we're trying to get here. So you can either come back, ask for a trial, and we'll set you up for a trial. If he doesn't show up the next time, then I would be more than happy to dismiss the charge. Or I can minimize your fine or something like that.
I mean, it's unfortunate that the man had an accident going on. I hope that, I wish all the people well and the best of intentions and hope nobody got hurt. Back in 2016, I wrote to Alan Wilson and expressed my non-consent to be governor. As South Carolina and the officers of South Carolina are grateful to the Almighty God, for their liberties and the civil government. He's blessed them with. I wrote to Alan Wilson last week and expressed my wish for that same grace to be extended to another one of God's children to be governed. And I have a document here if you wish to read it.
Sure, I'm going to have to.
Okay, this is hilarious because he went from threatening me with contempt of court, $500 in fines, and listen to what he does after he reads this piece of paper. This is hilarious. I love it.
So this don't have anything to do with why you're here today, but.
No, sir, it doesn't.
So what do you want to do with this? You want to go to trial? If you want to take the guilty, I can reduce the tag down to $25. I can actually I'll waive your fine for the insurance if you want to do that.
You hear that right there? All right. He went from $500 in fines to I'm going to find you in contempt just for saying, hey, I'm going to exercise my right to a court of law. Did you hear me evoke my right to a court of law? No. Okay, he went from that stance, I'm going to throw you in jail, I'm going to charge you these fines, to I'll drop the no tag to $25 and I'll just get rid of the insurance ticket. That is hilarious. Because most people
John.
are more concerned about me having insurance than me not having a tag.
And
That's
John,
how
what
much
was on the
they're there to
paper?
protect you. Huh?
What was on the paper? What was the notice that you handed him?
It wasn't a notice. It was a document that I got from Paul, the high clerk of Greenville County. And when I told him, no, sir, it doesn't, because he said it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on here today. And when I said, no, sir, it doesn't, I was like, not yet.
You're right.
You didn't say not yet, though.
Oh, I said not yet. I just said, no, sir, it doesn't. But
Yeah.
that was me saying, not yet. It was hilarious. And then he said he was going to subpoena me. He wasn't even going to summons me back. He was going to subpoena me. That means he was going to pay me to come back.
Have you heard anything back from that?
Oh.
All right. So
Yeah, they don't want you back, do they?
Dude, I bet he went and called Al or Paul, and if he got either one of them on the phone, and he said, I just had Jonathan Cross in my courtroom, and he was doing some weird things, and y'all's name came up, I bet either one of those individuals would have been like, I hope you didn't tell him to come back.
Yeah.
We're always trying to get rid of him. Go ahead.
You just hand carried a copy to hand to the other side and the judge, but the other side wasn't there?
Yeah, well, what happened was...
They're never there.
Yeah, the other side was never there. What happened was I got pulled over in August. August of this year. And the officer was really cool with me and gave me 3 months to work something out. And I was actually thinking about going and getting my car bonded. And then some night in September, I was just like, screw it, I'm going to go have fun. You know what I mean? I just decided to go in there and have a good old time. Did that answer your question? What did you ask me, man? I've been awake for a minute.
I was just wondering if you hand carried a copy in, maybe 2 extra.
Oh, yeah.
As a
hey,
tactic.
Wait just a minute. I'll read to you my notices. Wait a minute.
All right.
So as you heard, the other side wasn't there. The officer didn't show up. He got caught up in a traffic accident or something. I was just moving for him to dismiss the whole thing because of failure of prosecute. Nobody showed up on the other side to move against me. There's nothing here. Here's the 2 notices that I filed, but I couldn't deliver them to the officer because he wasn't there. But they got delivered to the court, and that's all that matters. I still haven't even sent the officer his notices because I don't care. It was never meant for him anyways. You know what I mean?
Just to stop the proceeding.
Yeah, if he pulls me in there again, I'll just do the same thing. Here's my notice. It's called no consent. I do not consent to join, joinder, identify, identification, merge, or merger of any person or persona different from how creator create myself. Boom. Here's my notice of manifest. I am man, in parentheses, JC. You know, JC, that's who I am. And who manifest at court and plea upon accuser verify nature of wrong and cause of accusation. So that was just telling them, hey, right here, I'm moving in law. As soon as you get what you have to have, the requirements, the elements that you have to keep moving against me, right? At that moment in time, I will plead because I'll understand what I'm pleading to. And I even told them that in court. I was like, as soon as you get a man or a woman up there to explain, to verify the nature of the wrong and the cause of the accusation, I'll understand how to plead at that point. But I don't understand how to plead right now.
Yeah. Step 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
how
can I understand how to plead if I haven't even heard verified facts of what I'm pleading to? Like, how could I possibly do that? How could anybody possibly do that?
from the way I'm looking at it, and I know I look at it an oddball way, it looks like you never gave consent. And since you never gave consent, there was nobody on the other side to give consent for it to move forward. Since there was nobody on the other side, you were just fighting yourself at that point. And since you said, I don't understand this, they understood that you did not stand under it, but yet they can't let the illusion go because how many other people were in court? So they had to be like, all right, well.
Nobody else. I've never seen a courtroom so empty.
Really?
Yeah, I'm for real. Dude, I was actually kind of getting nervous because I thought that and I pull up and there's nobody in the parking lot.
It was just
Stan,
interesting because, like, was it?
Don't you know JC doesn't even give consent to himself?
I tried to give him like $100. He was like, "No way, dude."
Anybody having?
So what I was saying about the call, like what you just put out there is, without you giving consent, how can the other side move? There's nobody on the other side. It always seems to me like it's the boogeyman. And one of the things about the audio you just played is that you are completely emotionless through the whole thing. There's not one bit of emotion. You just answer the question. Who cares? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Who cares? Through the whole thing, he couldn't get a rise from you. Even when he said contempt, there was no rise. That's one of the things that I see is missing in a lot of these people that show up in court and try and do this, and they have audio or video. They get angry and they start telling somebody how something is supposed to be. You never told anybody anything. You never said, you never activated anything.
Just to add to your point, and really let it sink in for people.
Magnum PI again.
No, this is me.
Are you familiar with the term discovery, Rule 5 violation? Nope. Well, that's what attorneys do. They file discovery motions, and they file Rule 5 motions.
Now he's giving me legal advice from the bench.
We don't accept those either.
I really can't hear that. I don't know about anybody else, but if you can tell us what's happening right now.
Whoever it is that wrote the citation or issued the criminal warrant. We're independent. We're not part of the sheriff's office, police department, nothing like that. We're the court. So we're the judicial side of it. So we don't accept anything on behalf of any officer, any organization other than this particular court.
Yeah, I understand. I've just been in situations like those before. Typically the court and we'll make sure to
well, that's not good service per law. Law says you got to serve it upon the agency. So, even if the court accepts your documents, you can't use that against it if the officer never gets it because you filed in the wrong place. And that's per statute. That's per law. So
He said per statute.
Just kind of do that in the future. Really needs to be served on the individual, not on some other company that you're going to rely on getting to that officer because that will hold up anywhere.
Well, I got in good faith, but thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Look for a subpoena from us for that next court date, okay? All right, y'all have a great day. Be safe out there.
Just stay healthy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wish you and your family the best.
Same as you. Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good day.
You guys went a little over the top there at the end, yeah?
Hey John, can you just restate what he said at the beginning there? When he was saying he was talking about Rule 5.
Yeah, he was talking about rule. He was giving me legal advice. He wanted me so badly to put in a motion or do something attorney-like so that he could get jurisdiction back over me. It just wasn't going to happen. Like, obviously, you could see how cool I left it. I calmed him down. I was calm the whole time, just like Stan was talking about. And even when I was leaving, I was like, hey, you have a great day with you and your family. Hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. No emotion about it. It's all good. There was just an error. They thought I was somebody I'm not. That's all. I just had to go show them who I was. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you're ever doing. Right?
You were misidentified.
Yeah, not when people pull it off like that. Because the only time they really run over people is when people are doubting, when people are believing in the authority that a judicial officer has, when people are believing in the authority that the state has. That's when they really double down, and it's like, okay, now I'll throw you in contempt. Now I'm going to try to get you to believe all the way. If you just show them that you're never going to buy it,
Yeah.
they can offer it all day long. Like, hey, it's great.
Can
you
I
got
tell a
cheesecake,
quick story?
but I want this pumpkin pie. What's
Yeah.
up, brother?
So like 5-6 years ago, my girlfriend, she went into court and they gave her a speeding ticket and no insurance because she couldn't find her insurance slip. And we went in there and she pretty much wrote a notice saying that she could only appear as a woman. And so the judge wouldn't accept it, but the prosecutor would. And when the prosecutor accepted it, she stayed completely silent when my girlfriend came up. And the judge pretty much prosecuted the case at that point. She was like, well, what were you doing out there? And she's like, you weren't driving? And she's like, no, I was going to point A to point B. And she's like, all right, well, why don't you sit down right now? And we'll get to you later. And she's like, all right. So she went and sat down. She went back up. When she went back up, the judge was like much more stern. She's like, are you Patronim Shayan? And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, were you not here on this street? And she's like, well, I don't understand. And then she starts going down the thing. She's like, so you weren't driving that day? And she's like, I don't know. I was going from point A to point B. And the judge goes, I don't understand point A to point B. And my girl goes, I was traveling. And she goes, sit down. And my girl ran back and sit down. And I go, why'd you come back? And she goes, well, she's scared. And she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, okay. What you're going to do is next time you go up, just hand your proof of insurance. She had insurance to the prosecutor, and that's going to create joinder. She's going to get all happy. She's going to tell the judge. And then when the judge starts talking to you, just beg for mercy. Throw yourself at the mercy of the court. Ask for forgiveness. So when she did that, she went back up and she handed the insurance over. When she handed the insurance over, the prosecutor, that's the first time the prosecutor said anything the whole time. She goes, oh, she gave me the insurance. I'd like to drop the ticket on the insurance. And then the judge smiled ear to ear. And she goes, yeah, let's throw that out. And she goes, well, how about the speeding? And my girl said, I'm guilty. When she said she was guilty, she goes, okay, well, that's $225 court costs and all this other stuff. And she's like, but it's $75 fee, and I can give you a $150 fee if I want today. And she said, well, I beg mercy upon the court. And she goes, everybody wants to be forgiven. Why should I forgive you? And at that point, my girl had nothing to say. So she just hung her head. And she goes, I can make this $150 like I said, but today I'll make it $50. Can you pay the court costs in $50? She said, yes. And then she said, you know what? Court costs in $25. How's that sound? And she goes, that's wonderful. And we walked out, and like I was paying the ticket. So I said, just go up there and have fun. Don't get thrown in jail. But when it came out, like it gave me a different perspective of like what is that it's just a show. Just like John, like she got emotion out of my girlfriend at that point. At that point, she crumbled. When she crumbled, she said, sit down. My girl ran back to the seat, says, I don't want to do this anymore. It was a break in her mentality. Up until that point, there was no break. The judge was just testing. So what John is saying is like, I really, truly do believe that. And John's recording is really the only recording I've ever heard with no emotion. None.
Yeah, most of the ones, the few I've seen too, people trying stuff, and you could tell they're new, is in their attempt to show confidence, they show some kind of smugness, and they don't like that at all.